All right, good morning. I know everybody's glad to be here today. So, I am Kelly Watson. I am the new Chief Equity Officer, but I'm also transitioning out of the General Counsel role and your liaison to the Mayor's Office to Metro Council. But as I am transitioning out of here, you all know that for the last few years, I have made sure that we all gather to have our ethics training. So ethics training is actually required for all of us that are Metro officers every 2 years, but to make sure that we actually have it and capture all of our new Metro officers, we do this every year. And we usually capture some people that have not actually had that training, and so that's why we do this now. In addition to that, the ordinance changed about a year or so ago, and they actually put a date in there for the requirement for our financial disclosures. And so you got an email from Rhonda Williams. I'm going to ask Rhonda to kind of stand up so you know who she is, because some of you all have been sending your financial disclosures to me, and they should go to Rhonda. So now I probably know more of your life than I should. But I do delete those, so I don't still have them. But make sure you send those to Rhonda by April 30th, because that is the date. If you haven't done that, please make sure that you go ahead and do that, and they do have to be notarized. Also for today, the sign-in sheet is at the back of the room. Make sure that you sign in, and we note that you are here today. If you are unable to make it, or you as your chief or director have someone that is unable to make it, we will have a makeup class. It will be online. There was a quiz attached to that, so it's also easier for you to be here today because we're not going to test you. Right, because you don't want to, you have to keep doing it till you pass it. I didn't put that in the email when that came out because we do want to make sure that we're all here today. We don't always get a chance to be here in one place, so that's why we didn't have that on the email. But now I will introduce to you Dana Nichols. She is the attorney for the Ethics Commission, and she will provide our training for today. So Dana, come on up here.
Good morning. How are you all? I think we can all agree there's nothing more exciting to talk about at 8:30 on a Wednesday morning than ethics. But Kelly did say that the alternate time was 4 o'clock on Friday. So just be happy to know that you won't be doing this on Friday at 4 o'clock. I'm very happy to be here with you all. I do see some familiar faces from our previous lives together in state government. So I'm happy to see everyone. So what we're going to do today is just kind of a high level review. I know because you have 1 hour to do a lot of things, including hear from your boss. So I will try to make it short and sweet, but hit the high points. But I do want you to know that you can contact me at any time. I've got my information in here, as well as you can contact Rhonda, and she knows how to get a hold of me. And she actually knows more than I do on a lot of things. So you could always ask her questions as well. We do have a new chairperson of the Ethics Commission and a couple of new members. So we're in transition. I'm new. Thankfully, Rhonda has been with the commission for a while, though, so we have that going for us. Okay, let me make sure I can work this. Yes. Okay, so first of all, who is subject to the Code of Ethics? Basically, it's my understanding that if you're in this room, you're subject to the Code of Ethics. But just as a review, most of you are subject to the Code of Ethics because of which position that you're in. So all these listed, appointed positions and hired positions on this list that you see here are all subject. Also, there are some positions that are subject to the Code of Ethics because of the authority that the person has in that position to spend money. So hopefully you're all covered, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so like I said, we're just doing a high-level review today, and so I had to choose some of the more exciting things from the Ethics Code to talk about. It was difficult, but I managed. So these are 4 things here that in my career doing ethics work and also in my time at this Ethics Commission that seem to come up over and over. So I just wanted to remind you of these rules. The first one is conflicts of interest, everyone's favorite. So basically, of course, I have, some specific things listed in each of these slides, but this is the area where it's kind of, you can do a gut check and think, is there something about this where I'm benefiting, or someone in my family is benefiting, or am I using my position to, help someone get elected? That comes up a lot around election time. And I'm sure that you have specific policies in place through the mayor's office and through your personnel code as well. But sometimes there is some overlap with these things, and ethics kind of overlays a lot of these areas. But basically, anything that would make you money, make someone you care about money, you need to watch out for. Or if you're getting some kind of a perk, because of your government employment that you would not otherwise get, that's something to think twice about. And, there is a lot of gray area in ethics, and so feel free to call us anytime. If it's a big question, obviously we'll talk to the commission about it. You can come and talk to the commission about it. If it's just something smaller you want to run by, someone, feel free to contact me, or Rhonda can see, also if there's some other decisions kind of along the same lines that have already been decided. But political activity is one to definitely watch out for, because I tell folks, maybe try to think through the lens of a newspaper reporter, or, just a member of the public who you all are all here to serve. How would they feel about this? Would they think I was getting some special, perk from my government employment? So I think just thinking about the perspective a lot of times, can help. Because I hear a lot of folks say, well, I wasn't trying to do that, or that's not what my intention was. But I think if we're always mindful of how other people see our actions, especially the people that we're here to serve, and also newspaper reporters, that can be helpful in guiding our decisions. All right, enough about that. Gifts and other things of value. So this kind of goes along with conflicts of interest. Like I said, there's a lot of overlapping and gray areas sometimes in ethics. But there is a specific provision about gifts and other things of value in the ethics code. So basically, you have to make sure that you're not soliciting or accepting gifts, favors, loans, political contributions, services, economic opportunities, blah, blah, blah. Although promise of future employment is kind of an important one. So basically, you're not saying, well, if I, help you out here, then you'll give me a job when I leave here. That's the kind of thing you want to look out for. And even gifts, there is a de minimis rule, and the commission members are rational people. But again, think about it through the lens of the public, and newspaper reporters will pretty much keep you out of trouble. There is a provision that says that reasonable meals and refreshments served at public events are permitted. I underline public because if it is not an event where the public can also attend, then this caveat would not apply. So gifts do come up a lot as well, so just something to look out for. There is no specific dollar threshold in the Code of Ethics for Louisville Metro, so just have to be really careful. Okay. Use of information. So this is another area you may, especially in your high-level positions, come into some information that might be valuable to someone else or to you in another capacity. But obviously, as members, who work for the mayor and work for the executive branch, that's not okay to use that information for your own gain or for someone else's gain. So you want to make sure that any information that you hold, by way of your position, you only use it to benefit Louisville Metro. Nepotism. So the nepotism ordinance is actually very specific here, which I thought was interesting when I became the attorney for the commission. So there are 3 basic provisions, and I'm actually going to look at these to make sure I say them right. So obviously you can't hire a member of your family. That one's the more straightforward one that everyone kind of is familiar with, hopefully. Also, you can't supervise someone in your family directly. hopefully this is something you're familiar with as well. And then the third one is the one that was a little new to me, and that one is that family members shall not be given preference for employment or appointment to a position in a metro agency if there's another more qualified person. So I think that just protects, everyone applying for jobs, of course, in government. You always want to have the most qualified person to do the position. So that is nepotism. Statement of financial disclosure forms. Kelly already mentioned this. So Metro officers must file an initial form within 21 days of appointment. Then they're all due by April 30th of each year, which is right around the corner. Then also, material changes to the reported information about your ownership interests and compensation received from entities that do business with Metro government have to be disclosed within 10 days of that change happening. So that's kind of a lot. But so basically, if you file your disclosure form on time, which I'm sure you all will, by April the 30th, and then something happens and you get an ownership interest or money from an entity doing business with Metro government, you have an affirmative duty then to notify the commission of that change. So I just wanted to point that out. Then just the Ethics Commission contacts, as I mentioned, Rhonda and me were the two people you can make contact. And that's it. So I know this was really quick because, like I said, I know I've seen the presentation that you take when you become a new employee, and it's very detailed, which is great because we don't want anyone having any trouble with the ethics code. But I would say that each situation is a little bit different, and so I like to just present an overview so that you can kind of have it in the back of your mind, what kind of things do I need to be looking out for, and then really it's kind of like when you're dealing with the IRS, it's better just to ask, what do they think? That's really what matters. So, feel free, the Ethics Commission is always glad to hear questions from folks, always glad to help people out, and they appreciate people who are proactive about not running afoul of the ethics code. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Dana. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? All right. I'm going to talk to you about social media and ethics and the pitfalls that may or may not occur with that. Again, I know ethics is not the most exciting topic, but I'm going to try to make this as fun and interactive as possible. So, I would garner to guess that 90 to 95% of the people in this room have some sort of social media account. If you don't, I'm sure you know someone who has a social media account, correct? All right, so what is social media? Snapchat, Facebook, Pinterest, Match.com, so forth and so forth. I'm sure at one point in time, everyone in this room has engaged in one of these little nice websites. Everyone's on it. This is my personal Facebook page. Muhammad Ali is my background, and I was celebrating Jackie Robinson's integration of baseball that day, so I changed my profile picture. John Yarmouth, he is on it. Our awesome mayor, he's on it. And social media is fun, right? And that's my family. The ladies in the middle, those are my three favorite ladies, mom, sister, and wife. It's my dad on the left, and that's me up top doing what I love to do, fishing. However, there's a dark side to social media. What is that dark side? Fear, hate, anger? No. No. Fake news is a dark side to social media. Everybody knows who that is, right? Catfishing, and I don't mean fishing, I mean you meet someone online, you're there to meet them and date, they don't look like their photo, or they may not even be the person that they're purporting to be. I don't know if anybody's ever watched the show on MTV, Catfished. You meet somebody and it's not them. That's a social media dark side. Racism online. This has been a big problem since the internet's kind of come into evolution. People go to the internet to spread hate all over. Facebook violence. you may notice a trend of young people getting into fights and posting it on Facebook. The more likes they get, the more fights they get into. Shootings. This is the pizzeria shooting that occurred as a result of the fake news that I just talked about. A gentleman read something on fake news on fake media or social media and goes to this pizzeria and starts shooting people because of something he read on social media that was not true. That's a dark side to social media. Murder. Everybody knows who this gentleman is, the Easter Day Massacre, where this gentleman in Cleveland shot and killed an elderly gentleman. So, there's a dark side to social media, but again, it's fun, right? And it's a good tool to utilize to pass out information to the people that we know and love. So what happens when social media meets employment? Well, the light side, we get to celebrate our successes, make announcements, as you see Darrell and Grace right there, announcing promotions, Kelly and Eric, commemorating events. This is the HR fish fry. For the record, yes, that is a knife in my hand. All right? But I was not being violent. You see down in the corner, there's fish that I was cutting up. Somebody said, Kendall pose. Gotcha. So that was the HR fish fry. But again, when social media meets work, what's the dark side? One, people complain about work on social media. They can't hold it in, so they go onto social media and call their boss all sorts of names. Or talk about how much they hate their job or hate their company, but they want to go back the next day to make the money, right? I won't repeat that because there's words in there that we should not say. What about if someone engages in racism and their job is listed underneath their name, or they purport themselves to work for a specific company or group? And you see this post, this lady's talking about the first lady. Or sexism. Reject a woman, she'll never let it go. One of many defects of their kind, also weak arms. What if I said something like that on my social media, but I'm representing Louisville Metro government? So how do we, from an employment standpoint, how can we be positive on social media? Because we are the leaders here. And if we have a social media page, we should lead by example. So here's an example of my personal Facebook page. I posted this about 2 or 3 months ago. This is about the Emmett Till murder. If you're not familiar with the Emmett Till murder, it's a famous murder of this young man who purportedly whistled at this lady and ended up being brutally murdered. Well, this lady just recently recanted her story, saying that everything that she told her husband about what this young man did was not true. And so I made this post about alternative facts, because alternative facts and fake news can get somebody killed. And so that's how we can be positive with respect to our social media being employment leaders. Teachable moments. Everybody remembers this ugly situation. And I believe our mayor actually posted a response to this ugly situation saying that this is not what Louisville's about. When you engage in hate speech and you're conservative, this gentleman is talking to a Jewish lady, telling her that she's going to be first in line for the camp for criticizing Donald Trump. But it can go the other way. You have liberal hate speech. Someone's bold enough to kill MLK, they should be bold enough to kill Donald Trump. So it can go both ways. Again, racial hate speech, and again, this is in the employment context. This lady's criticizing Black Lives Matter. She was a Missouri professor. So, social media speech, is it free speech? If I go home on my own private time and I criticize the whole wide world because I need the attention on social media, shouldn't it be protected by the First Amendment? Especially if I work for the government, correct? Well, generally experts say that social media, there's no expectation of privacy because you're putting it out there for everyone to see. It's social, but I expect privacy. That doesn't make sense, correct? And then if you look at the second paragraph, the person posting their opinion is actively sharing that opinion in the hopes of generating comments or likes, as we see on Facebook, with the intent of the post to create an overall sense of self-edification and self-gratification. That's what social media is. If you ask anyone what the legal definition of social media is, that's it right there. So what can we do? Well, part of our team values should drive our decision-making when it comes to social media and someone being offended or someone putting something on social media that does not represent the team values of Louisville Metro. Also, from a legal standpoint, United States versus National Treasury and Pickering versus Board of Education are kind of the First Amendment rights Supreme Court cases that guide free speech in employment. This is kind of a green area of law with respect to social media, so the law is undecided at this point. So we allow this to be our driver. Basically, and if you're not a lawyer, you really won't understand this language, but basically, you have to have a necessary impact on the actual operation of government in order for the speech to be regulated by the government employer. Okay, so for example, a police officer goes onto social media and gives all of the detail about a murder that they're investigating. That has an impact on the operation of government because we're trying to investigate a murder. So if you go out and put all the information out on social media, you're doing us a detriment. You can be terminated for that. You don't have a First Amendment right to put that information on social media. Does that make sense? Okay. Here's a list of some factors that can help you out in making your decision if you want to take action against an employee who's put something on social media that violates the tenets of our ethics code. Is the comment pertinent to the employee's role? Is it reasonable to believe that the comment will negatively affect our operation? What's the specific mischief that's been created? More importantly, was the post made while the employee's been at work? What if I'm at work and I'm using my laptop or my iPad and make a social media comment and it's 11:30 in the morning? I'm supposed to be working, not on social media, right? Again, these are some of the factors you can utilize. And I didn't pass this out because it's 35 slides, but if you want a copy of it, I'll be happy to give you one. So what does our policy say? We don't have a social media policy for Louisville Metro government, and we don't have one on purpose. Because again, the law's unsettled in this area, and so in discussing this with the county attorney's office, we've decided to utilize our existing ethics code. 1.52, employees may be subject to dismissal if you promote, encourage, or engage in public or publicly endorse, condone, or advocate conduct on or off duty, which involves harassment, intimidation, so forth and so forth. So with the example, with the example of the Jewish lady getting shot in the head, that's harassment, that's violence. That can get you terminated, okay? Or the liberal example, shoot Trump, not MLK. That can get you terminated from your employment. Let's see. 1.52, even further, use of force or violence. And I think I'm missing a slide, I apologize. 1.51 says employees shall avoid any action which might create the appearance of adversely affecting the confidence in the public and the integrity of government. So when you post something on social media and you engage in that conduct and it violates that rule, you can be terminated for violating that ethics policy, okay? Any questions? That's me when I was 15. I got that at the mall, Green Tree Mall in Indiana. Again, this PowerPoint will be available if you need it. I would encourage you, if you do have questions, to contact either myself or JP in Human Resources if you do have this issue come up. And again, as this law evolves, we'll be taking a close look at it and making recommendations on policy changes, okay? Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Kendall. And Dana and Kendall, I may call you guys back up here because I think one area we've also missed in kind of this refresher course today is to talk about politics, what's political and what's government activity. You know, we all work for an elected official, and in government, we're always working for elected officials, and politics are always part of what we do every day. But we need to be very cognizant, and the Code of Ethics and some of our HR policies also govern that, you know, you don't do personal activities on government time or using government resources. Politics fits into that category. And Dana, I don't know if you want to jump up and add something to that, or Kendall, but just a reminder, we're in a political season, and the mayor's announced he's going to run for re-election. Everybody should be cognizant to support your candidate, but make sure you do it on your own time and with your own resources. I want to make sure, you know, we brought that up today too. Dana, you want to add anything to that? Or Kendall?
I mean, I don't know specifically that it's a specific section, but I would be happy to work with the mayor's office and with HR to, if you want to put out some guidance, or if you already have some guidance to refresh people with. Do you have anything, Kendall?
Yeah, Ellen's right. You cannot use government resources to politic on behalf of.
Whether it's social media or whatever.
I mean, if it's your own personal social media page, of course, you can advocate for your candidate. But if you're utilizing government resources or utilizing a government social media outlet, you cannot advocate that particular candidate.
In time.
And of course, in
Right.
time.
Okay, anybody have any questions on ethics? And we're going to switch gears a little bit. Bab's going to come up and do a little bit of an update on House Bill 222 and how that impacts all of us, especially our boards and commission members.
Hello. For those of you who do not know me, I am Babs Elliott, Assistant General Counsel to the Mayor, and we've had laws in place since 2003 when Metro government merged that set out how we are governed, what we can do, how we do it, the powers of the mayor, the council, et cetera. And this year, the legislature decided to change KRS Chapter 67C in a couple of different ways. New provisions have been added to the council's powers to create a government oversight and audit committee. The statute is worded pretty much like the council has to do this. Currently, the council has the ability to audit departments and agencies. They've changed this to allow them not only to investigate and audit departments and agencies, but also to allow them to do that with boards and commissions. It only applies to specific boards and commissions, and that is a board that is composed of members who are appointed by the mayor and approved by the council, or one that has a budget of over $1 million. We're currently working on determining exactly what those boards and commissions are. And in my handout, I have a list of some of those that we think are most likely to be governed. But again, that's subject to being changed as we evaluate the budgets and appointments and that kind of thing. This does not apply to fee officers like the sheriff or the county clerk. When the council creates this new committee, the members will be appointed by the chairs of the caucuses of the two main political caucuses of the council. The membership will be proportionate to that membership of Democrats and Republicans, since those are the two major caucuses and only ones that I know of at this time. And any fractional proportions are to be rounded up, so you give the benefit of the doubt to round it up to the total number of members. The powers of the committee are fairly broad. They can compel testimony and the submission of work papers or documents by subpoena. They can also have the same powers over mayoral appointees. So those of us who are appointed by the mayor, they can compel our testimony and the submission of work papers or documents. Now, they have to set up procedures and processes about how they're going to do that. They have not done that yet. The bill doesn't go into effect until late June. So we'll be seeing what that looks like before then, I would imagine. If you are subpoenaed, whether it's a person or documents, relevant statutes on privacy will apply. It only mentions the open meetings privacy exceptions for things like personnel or that type of thing, but there may be other statutes that would also come into play, and we are looking at that as well so that we have a more definitive answer as to what the privacy rights might be. They can swear people in to testify, and if the testimony is false, it can be punishable as contempt in circuit court. The council would not impose that punishment. They would have to go to circuit court to enforce that. If they subpoena you and you don't attend, they can compel your attendance, again, through the subpoena. And for boards and commissions that are covered by the committee, they can recommend to the council to remove a board appointee. Now, a number of boards and commissions have laws that say how they can be removed, either an ordinance or a statute, or if they're a 501c3, their bylaws or articles of incorporation. So we're looking at that provision to see exactly how that will affect boards and commissions that have specific rules on how removal of a board appointee would occur. They also changed some of the mayoral powers. As I'm sure you're all aware, the budget address is coming up this week, and they require that now by law to be 60 days prior to the end of the fiscal year. So we're already doing that pretty much this year. So that's one change. Any written contracts exceeding $20,000 have to go to the council, except for those that are bid, lowest evaluated bid or lowest proposal. So after June 28th, we may need to allow some additional time for those contracts that don't now go to the council but may be required by this provision to go to the council. It also requires the deputy mayor to be appointed by the mayor, and they have to have the same qualifications of the mayor. You have to be 21, a qualified voter, a member of his or her political party, a resident of Jefferson County for at least 1 year prior to being appointed, and remain a Jefferson County resident as long as they serve. It also changed the succession if something were to happen to our mayor and our deputy mayor. If the mayor were to be incapacitated, the deputy mayor becomes the temporary mayor for 30 days, and the council has the right to select somebody during that time. If they do not select someone, the governor has the authority to do that. If both the mayor and the deputy mayor were to be incapacitated, unable to perform their duties, their positions would be vacant, then the president of the Metro Council has the authority to act as mayor until the council appoints, or the governor if the council fails to act. The last change I want to hit on is that the council, as you may know, the county attorney is the legal counsel for Metro government. But they added that the council can hire their own attorney for advice and consultation. It states still that the county attorney's office is still our legal representative. So you may be seeing the council hire their own legal counsel to provide them some advice. And it also added that in addition to the one person that each council member can hire, the political caucuses have the ability by statute to hire staff to assist in their duties as well. So that's a quick hit on what 222 does to us. And I did have a handout at the back. For those of you who got here earlier, you can pick up a copy if you'd like. Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Does this only apply to Louisville?
Yes. 67C only applies to consolidated local governments, and we are the only one. We are special. All right. Thank you. Sorry. Is there another question? Is there another question? I'm sorry.
Just a comment about the war on Louisville, probably, which we won. Thank you all for being here. I know it's early and this is a requirement, but don't forget, next week is kind of a fun week. It's a lot of work week for most of us, but Saturday night is opening night at Keeneland, and the mayor has a box that he has offered up, and it's or Churchill, what did I say, Keeneland? Well, it's still Keeneland till Friday. Sorry. So Saturday night is opening night at Churchill Downs, and there is a great arts display is incorporated into the opening night. And one lucky person has under their seat a ticket for the box. So if you want to stand up, stretch for a minute, look under your seat, and it's probably behind the back of the cushion there. It's taped to the back. It's taped to the back of the cushion. Man, I know there's one in here. Look. Around there. This was not supposed to be this hard. Monica or Christy or Kim, Michael, I would check your all seats pretty close. Mayor, if you would like to speak a few minutes, and we've got a big group here too. It's not just our ethics officers, but it's all of the appointees.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for the good job day in and day out. I wanted to recognize a couple of transitions taking place. So, Kelly, I want to thank you. Kelly's been my general counsel for the past several years. So we had a couple changes that were announced last week. Kelly is transitioning to become our city's first chief equity officer, which will be working on issues related to equity both internally with our boards and commissions and just making sure that we're walking the talk and showing the city on how this type of work should be done. Eric Friedlander, is Eric here somewhere? Eric is our new chief resilience officer. That's a new position for the city. We were fortunate enough to be selected by the Rockefeller Foundation to be one of 100 global cities that will be studying resilience. So it's really kind of a unique opportunity for us to learn from this city cohort of 100 other cities around the world. And we're approaching resilience in two perspectives. One is environmental resilience, which is easy to understand around here with the Ohio River and flooding and such, but also all the severe weather events, the increased urban heat effects that are taking place in cities. So how can we lessen the effects of those and be ready to attend to the shocks that come with those. So environmental resilience. The second then is human resilience. So what we all know, we're in this business, is we seem to have the people that have the least get hurt the most time and time again. So how can we address issues around education, around health, around the built environment as it affects human resilience? So everybody has a opportunity for a positive pathway forward. So that work is falling under Eric's purview, so congratulations on that. Jeff Mosley, where is Jeff? Jeff, if you would stand up. Jeff is moving over from the Deputy Chief of Louisville Forward to be the new General Counsel for the city, so appreciate the good work. When you see all these complicated deals being announced in the city, Jeff is the one behind the scenes negotiating all of those activities, which is full of all types of activity and excitement. So, Jeff, we welcome you over here. And then the irrepressible, joyful Gina Redmond. Where's Gina? Gina's back here. Gina's now running our community services, so we appreciate your dedication to serve our city as well. So I want to thank all four of these folks. Let's have a round of applause for them. Good job. I wanted to say a couple things, too, about, we've been in office now about 6.5 years. We've got really unprecedented momentum going on in the city that we have the really joy of leading here. When you take a look around at the city, we've got $9 billion of capital construction going on, median wage increases, 10,000 people worked themselves out of poverty last year. We're at an all-time high in terms of education attainment. So it's, nothing like this has happened in the history of Louisville in the past 100 years or so. So we're really at the precipice of even greater things, and we're in one of those few cities that's being looked at as kind of the next IT city that's going to break out from the medium-sized city population level, if you would. So with that success comes people that want to hit on us and criticize on us. So you've seen some of that recently in the press, particularly around public safety, around corrections, around policing. While it's not related to us, they can go after our school superintendent as well. So I don't know if it's just something in the air where people got to feel like they've got to be critical. But that is the nature of government, I suppose, where you have different points of view when people are doing different things. I just wanted to say, what's important to me is that for all of us is, one is we live our values. And if we're living our values every day, that's where we start off. That's where it all begins, with building trust between anybody, whether it's people to people or government to people. And we are living in an age, especially in this last presidential election cycle, where trust is being specifically questioned, and some so-called leaders are trying to break down trust so that they have groups of people working against each other or actively distrusting each other. So, you don't look like me, so I'm not supposed to trust you. Trust is the fabric of who we are, because trust leads to relationship building, and without relationships, there's no possibilities for advancement and improvement. So the number one thing to me is this: stay true to the values that the city has. The second issue is do you have a plan? In other words, do we know what we're doing? Now, we're going to always be criticized for the plans that we have, because somebody's always going to think they have a better plan, or they don't even have to have a plan. I mean, I always say there's nothing too small for somebody to be critical of, as long as they're not in charge of it, okay? And so you see people taking pot shots at this and pot shots at that. The important thing is to have a plan, work the plan, and improve the plan. So as long as everybody's doing that, that's all I ask for. But if we fall off our values, if we fall off our plan, if we fall off of our improvement orientation, then we have to have more of a serious conversation. So I think the number one thing for all of us then is to ask, how can I help? Okay, we're all members of this team, and the team comes before any of us as individuals. So when you see any of us that are under scrutiny or attack, we need to have the facts. We need to make sure we're working and improving. But then you have to say, okay, here's some ideas I have in a positive way, and here's how I can contribute to that. What we don't tolerate, obviously, is, people talking behind people's backs, people questioning this. If you're on a team and you can't be supportive of a team, then you need to get off the team, and you need to self-select to get off the team. But you can't be on that team and just be saying, oh, she's a so-and-so or he's a so-and-so. That's just not the way you win games. And when I say win games, in our case, it's how we improve the lot of our citizens here in our community. So that does not mean I am naive or I close my eyes to the fact that things aren't always going to go the way everybody wants them to go. But as long as we're living our values, working our plan, and improving our plan, that's all anybody can ask. And we just keep doing that, get a good night's sleep, and get up and do it the next day. Our job obviously comes with public scrutiny. That's just the nature of what we served up for, but it also comes in with the benefit and the honor of jobs like we have, because we get to help people. And at the end of the day, I think that's why we're all born and put on the face of the earth, is to make the world a better place for our families and our colleagues around the city. So it's an honor, and with that honor, obviously, comes some scrutiny. Last is just, it's obviously a really dynamic time politically in the country right now. The election of Donald Trump surprised a lot of people. He's an unorthodox president, taking different approaches that had not been taken before. We've been going to D.C. every 2 or 3 weeks to work with the various federal agencies up there. Not only are there a lot of changes in policies, they're just not very well organized, and they're not staffed out. So you hear pronouncements, and there's not a lot of execution that follows from that. To me, frankly, that's a good thing, because right now we're in a position between the federal government and the state government that we're playing a lot of defense right now, of just trying to kind of keep away harm from happening to our city. In the instance of the federal government, obviously, Trump's announcement of his so-called skinny budget could really hurt our city, zeroing out CDBG, taking all types of different funds that we are really reliant on in terms of improving the lot of our citizens here. So on the House and the Senate side, on the Democrat and Republican side, as I visit with them, they're all kind of, what the hell's going on here? And with the president's budget, Basically, they say, we've been ignoring president's budgets for a long time, we're going to ignore this one as well. So I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to all be what it is today, but it's a really dynamic time. We get that in Washington, D.C., so we just have to be really attentive and just do a great job at what we do day in and day out, because the people's voice is impacting what's happening in Washington. I don't know how much it's impacting the president, but certainly it is members of Congress when they're looking at whether or not they should go along with what President Trump has to say. And then on the state side, this last session was the first session where there was not divided government. In other words, not Republicans and Democrats in place. We are obviously a blue city in a red state right now. There's a whole playbook put together by a group called ALEC that's designed for states like us. About 35 states now are totally Republican at the state level within blue cities. So I won't make any comment on whether that's good or bad, but you can imagine what I think. But what the purpose of ALEC is to kind of preempt local control and take local control away from the cities and have that more centralized at the state level. So with this House Bill 222 that Babs just went through, if you recall, that's what started this headline of the war on Louisville, and trying to take away powers from the city of Louisville and have them rest more at the state level. So we were able to beat back most of that, those bills that came at us. Why we had a plan. We worked the plan hard. We also called on our business community to be supportive. There are supermajorities in the House and the Senate right now, so they certainly have the votes to do whatever they want to do. But we'll continue to stand up for what's right here, and you got to fight back in this game. I mean, you wish that logic would prevail, but that's not the way it works. You got to move public opinion as well. But the fact remains is that, you know, Louisville has about 1/5 of the state's population, and we produce about 1/3 of the GDP. You know, so we are the economic engine of the state. So hopefully they recognize that, and will let us just continue to kind of move forward, because the future of this Commonwealth depends on the future of our city as well. And we have this momentum unlike any other spot in the state right now, and that's likely going to stay that way for quite some time. And that momentum is because of the great work that you guys are doing. And I just want to close with that. We've had a lot of, we've built a really nice team over these last 6.5 years. And when you think about the planning that we've put together, the focus that we have on our citizens, the Louis Stat activity that we've achieved around continuous improvement and massive increases in efficiency and delivery of services to our citizens. We're recognized around the country as the most continuous improvement-oriented and the most innovative city government, probably any government, municipal government in the country right now. And that shows up with the comments that we get back from our citizens across all your departments in terms of saying this is a group that really is taking care of business. And that's so important because at the federal and state levels, while trust is trying to be broken apart, what we're doing here is increasing the bonds of trust between people and their government. And we jump head first into issues that need to be talked about, whether it's public safety issues, whether it's racism, whether it's equity, whether it's access. They're out there. So what a good organization does is take them head on. That's part of our weakness orientation, right? And what it also results in is just more opportunity for more people. So we're on a really interesting journey at a great point in time in our city with the eyes of the country watching us as well. And what gives me great confidence is we got a great, strong team and strong methods behind us and strong values behind us that I'm confident will really lead to better results and more joy every day. So I just wanted to say thanks, everybody, for all the great work that you all are doing. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Questions on Code of Ethics or on Senate Bill 222 or on social media? Everybody just ready to go? All right. Then we'll be done. Make sure everyone has signed in before you leave. Thank you.